welcome to the Riverfront Reds Show, where we will spend the next hour talking about Art Shamsky.
I hope.
Kidding about that a little bit, but I do have some thoughts later on. I want to ask you about your research from the Big 50. Did I lilt enough on that?
Close, not bad.
So, no, the good news this week is twofold. The trucks have been packed. The Reds have sent their equipment out to Goodyear. Mr. Redlegs is trying to go cross country in the back of that trailer, and hopefully they gave him some water in a bowl or something. So we'll see how it goes. But the other good news is, and I want to bring this up here. Let me show you this. This picture was taken in 2021. Young Owen Shaner at the time was 10 and a half years old. Or no, he's 10 now. He was at that time almost 6 years old. He refused to enjoy a new favorite player after they traded Elly Eugenio Suarez away. And this week he was rewarded with the reuniting of his hero. So I am excited for young Owen. And there he is back in 2021. What are your guys' thoughts on that? You think excited?
Exciting time for the Reds, for Reds fans, I guess, and the Reds. But it's funny you posted that because on my Substack I posted a picture. I think I did. Now that I'm thinking about it, maybe I didn't. But of my son, it was his 13th birthday.
Okay.
And we were in New York City, and the Reds were there, and so we went to watch the Reds play at Yankee Stadium, and I got this great picture. I loved it. My son, he was, as young as he ever was, he liked walking out in front of us and pretending like he was the big city boy, even though he's the biggest country boy ever. Kid goes to Virginia Tech now. So, but it's this great picture of him walking down into the subway and from behind, and he's wearing his Suarez number 7 jersey. And so he's excited this week as well. I think we'll talk about it more. You can make a great baseball case for it, but I like the sort of, the Field of Dreams type of vibe from it, which is I like watching guys that I like. So
that's right. I enjoyed your Substack article as well. People should check that out. Now, listen, we want good vibes only in this show. But before we get to all good vibes, I'm going to ask the question I believe Chris asked, or he confirmed when he read some of the thoughts of Nick Kroll. So let's get this question out of the way, and then we'll be good vibes the rest of the way. Is Elly Eugenio Suarez a Red today if Bob Castellini didn't recognize his name?
Can I say something first? Garber texted that to me, and I was like, oh, my gosh. He's exactly 100% correct. It had never occurred to me. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but
I really do think that's it. I do think that's it. I think they've got their payroll, and it takes a very special, intricately shaped key to unlock the bonus payroll.
Yeah, Middletown adjacent, or
yes, Middletown adjacent, or former beloved Red.
That's right. Yeah. No, I mean, I my answer to you, Chris, and famously he didn't get traded because Bob liked him, was I bet you Billy Hamilton's available. I mean, come on, let's do it. No, but listen, Bob Castellini, I think we've said a lot about his letter to the fans back in 2006. Someone on this exact show has written quite a few words about that letter, but Bob's a fan at heart, I think, right? I mean, he clings to his favorites, and certainly now, I'm frankly a little surprised. I guess the finances must have been so bad when he agreed to trade to him, because it was basically like, here, you can have Jesse Winker if you take Suarez. Yeah. And it turned out that Suarez was a much bigger get for the Mariners back then. But no, awesome stuff. He's back. Good vibes. I'm so excited, Chad, because they've needed thump in the lineup. The title of this episode is Protection for Elly. They needed thump in the lineup. They've needed a leader in that clubhouse, in that dugout for some time. And they get this guy who's just happy all the time. And it's not fake happy. He's just such a joy to watch, as you said. I mean, what are your thoughts there? I mean, they filled a lot of needs here with, a glamour, hey, we're going to do this out of, our vain love for a guy we knew before.
Well, so again, there's two sides to this coin to me, and the first of those is the Reds absolutely needed power. You can't just try to hope that you're going to string together six singles to score runs. That's just not a way to play the game in this day and age. It's just not. It's not a sustainable. And we saw it last year. The offense struggled because they just had no pop. Eugenio Suarez is a flawed player at this point in his career. Okay, he's going to strike out a ton. His on-base percentage is not where I'd like it to be, but the guy can hit the ball 450 feet. And somebody hitting behind Elly that can do that, it does move the needle. It does change things here. He's not Kyle Schwarber. I don't know if I would rather have Kyle Schwarber because I love Gino, but I don't want to go on record saying that. But I'd love to have one of the elite sluggers in the game in the middle of this order. Okay, we're in Cincinnati. That's not going to happen. And so we got a guy that hit 49 home runs last year. He hit 49 home runs for the Reds when he was here. He can hit the ball over the fence. It's something the Reds did not have. And so on a baseball side, yeah, you can see the flaws, but you can see though how this actually makes great sense. But to me, the far more important piece is just, I know the Reds aren't gonna live in the Kyle Schwarber neighborhood. I know they're not gonna try to get those guys. At least go get some guys that I like, some guys that are fun to root for. And we're gonna be on a Tuesday night in June, probably irritated by the way they played, and then he's gonna hit some ninth inning home run or something. They're gonna win. He's gonna have some crazy conversation with Jim Day, and it's gonna be fun. And I'm gonna actually have fun. So just the joy part of it to me is, at this point in my life as a Reds fan, that's almost enough for me.
Chris, let's look at it from the other side. We looked at it as if, hey, Bob knew his name, so he said yes. But let's think about it this way: knowing the economics of baseball today, knowing what's going on with how expensive everybody is, and how free agency is, eluding the Reds when it comes to the big guys. If I told you that the Reds went out and got a guy who hit 49 home runs last year, not even telling you who it is. If I told you the Reds got a guy who hit 49 home runs last year and they only had to give him 1 year for $15 million, I think you'd have been ecstatic back in December if that happened.
Yeah, it's crazy how cheap they got him. And, the market always tells you what you're worth. So maybe some people were willing to pay him a little bit more. Maybe the poor Pirates were willing to go to 17 or something. But it's a great deal. If you had told me in November they're going to get Gino Suarez and only pay $15 million for him, I would have been like A+ offseason.
Yeah, and if he stays healthy all year and he's great and he decides he wants to do it again and the Reds agree, they can get him next year for only 16. And there's no buyout involved. That's the other thing. Like even Austin Hayes had that, million or $1.5 million buyout. I mean, it's like, wow.
And if he stinks, they're still paying him less than they're paying Jeimer Candelario.
He who shall not be named. That's right.
Ugh,
so I noticed something about. So I was trying to figure out how he's going to fit in this team, and people are like, he's going to strike out way too much. Blah blah blah. All he's going to do is hit home runs. Doesn't get base hits, just home runs or nothing. And I started looking back at one of the great heroes of all Reds teams in our lifetime. And that's Greg Vaughn in 99.
Mm-hmm.
He came in on basically the 1 year on his contract. And he's practically on the Mount Rushmore of, Reds in the last 20, 30 years. And everybody remembers him as this like absolutely perfect player and more importantly, a perfect fit for the team. But I looked at the numbers. Vaughn was 7th in the National League in strikeouts that year. Struck out a ton.
Mm-hmm.
His on-base percentage was 3 points above the league average, and he hit 49 home runs. Last year, Gino Suarez hit 49 home runs. He struck out a ton, and his on-base was 3 points above the league average.
Let me tell you something, too. I was an Ohio State student. I bet you 1999 I went to more games than I've ever gone to in my life, before or since. Up and down I-71 with WLW playing. Tracy Jones was host of the post-game show back then. He took call after call after call in an era still lingering of batting average matters. He hit 245 that year, I think. the people complained all the way up until when they got so good that they couldn't complain anymore. And they were complaining about his batting average. And Tracy Jones says, I don't care about batting average. I care about ribeye steaks. And that was his job. And that's what we talked, Chad. You weren't on as much last year, but we talked a lot about, hey, I guess if you want to go about it this way, it's fine. But I want guys in different roles. I want guys who get on base. I want guys who hit for power. I want guys who hit, you want diversity in your lineup, and this gives you something you didn't have.
Well, it absolutely does. And to follow on what Chris was saying, I love the Greg Vaughn comparison that I hadn't really considered, because it also gives the Reds something else that I think they sorely need. And we've kind of poo-pooed the idea of leadership and what does that mean, but anybody that's played a team sport knows leadership does matter. Not just a team sport. If you've worked anywhere where you've had a good leader. What Greg Vaughn, I think, brought to that 99 team was just a belief, sort of a veteran presence, and he pulled everybody around him, said, we're going down this road. To me, the one thing that I've been sort of thinking about since the transaction was announced more than any is what kind of an influence. We talk about protecting Elly De La Cruz in the lineup, but what kind of an influence does he have on Elly De La Cruz in the clubhouse? I remember when Suarez got here, and he was the young shortstop, and he struggled early in his career. And I remember they moved him to third base, and early in that season, he was just the worst defensive third baseman you've ever seen. And now he never became a Gold Glover, but he worked, he improved, and ended up being a Reds Hall of Famer. I mean, so Elly De La Cruz has the talent to be a Major League Baseball Hall of Famer. Does his presence in that clubhouse, in that dugout, have an effect on Elly that maybe helps Elly to take the next step? I don't know. I can't predict that, but I'm interested to watch how that helps, because who in the dugout last year? Who was the veteran presence in the dugout last year that could show Elly the ropes? Austin Hayes?
Santiago Espinal.
Well,
right. That's what I'm saying.
Right. So they brought in Gavin Lux and they brought in Trevino, who had played against each other in the previous World Series, and they made a big deal all through spring training about having guys with that experience, right? Now Gino's not been to the World Series. Wait, they were close. Right? Yeah, they were pretty close right there, and just his life experience, I think, if that does matter, then I think it really could be a big deal. And certainly you're right. And remember, when these guys came up in 2023, Joey Votto was hurt. They saw more of him as a player probably down AAA rehabbing before they came up. So while I think they did lean on him back then, they didn't quite get the full, leader experience. Let me ask you guys a couple questions. Let's get both of your thoughts on this. We had understandable, in my opinion, angst maybe throughout this offseason of they whiffed on Schwarber. They're spending all this money on the bullpen. That's good to have a good bullpen, but it's not sexy. But now as you look back on it, now that they put the cherry on top of the sundae with bringing in Suarez, assuming they're done, it looks like they are. Chad, I'll ask you first, and I want your thought, Chris, too. Has this been a good rate the offseason for me? Let's go that way.
Yeah, it's a tough question, because if you're looking at every front office in baseball and what have they done to improve their team, you can't give the Reds a very high grade. But I like the moves in the bullpen. I think the bullpen's addressed. I love the Elly signing, or the Eugenio signing, obviously. And so I want to give them a good grade, I guess is what I say. Grading on a curve for what Nick Krall has to deal with ownership and no money to spend. I want to sort of grade them on the curve. But you know what? We're like the third straight offseason where everyone on the planet knew that this team needed an outfielder. And we still don't have an outfielder. And so, I mean, I don't want to completely dismiss JJ Bleday, or however you pronounce his name, but so I think probably the Gino pushes it up maybe to a B minus, C plus. I think it's an adequate offseason given what I expected relative to my expectations, which was I did not expect they were going to get someone who hit 49 home runs last year, and so that moves the needle for me.
Yeah, your thoughts, Chris. But the next question was going to be, with that in mind, what do you make of left field? So that we'll get there. But the offseason as a whole,
I might give it a flat B, and maybe just because I'm on a steeper curve. Because there are a lot of teams that have done less. a lot of teams. And I try to think about what they could have done, what's out there, who's out there. And they would have had to trade a starting pitcher probably to get a starting outfielder. And I couldn't in my mind put together that kind of trade that made sense that they could actually pull off. So that's where I'm good with a B. But yeah, left field, it's still this mishmash of quadruple A hitters that have big flaws. Maybe one of them could be good, but I learned long ago to stop hoping on, Chris Stein's to become an all-star.
We wish we had Chris
And
Stein.
the parade of 40 guys after Chris Stein's at that talent level, can you cobble it together? Maybe. Does it matter a ton if Marte is a legit, top half of the league right fielder? Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe Hector Rodriguez comes up in June, pushes his way up, and that's your left fielder.
Yeah, I think that's kind of something I predicted, not predicted, but kind of like let's see if this will happen. But let's talk about this though. I believe the floor of the roster's been raised. Can we say that? Because if you're looking at a bench like against a right-handed pitcher, let's say the bench that day is Steer, Dane, Myers, Trevino, and then either Blade or Benson. To me, that raises a floor. There's no Nick Martini, no Jason Vossler. I'm making up names again, Chad.
Obscure former Reds.
You don't even have to go that far back because of injuries and a few other things. Listen to the guys that were on the opening day roster in Terry Francona's first day on the job. All right, his first official day. They started last year with Blake Dunn, Jacob Hurtubise, Austin Wynns, Jeimer Candelario, CES, and Santiago Espinal. All those guys were on the opening day roster last year. The floor is, the floor of this roster has been raised. It is.
100%.
Yeah, I agree. And a big part of why I'm not stressing out about left field as much is I'm pretty bullish on what we're going to see from Noelvi Marte this year. And I'm pretty bullish on what we're going to see from Sal Stewart. And so I think that the pitching looks good to me. Mm-hmm. And so if the offense is better, and I think there's an excellent chance that the offense is significantly better. Well, this is a team that made the playoffs last year. Now, of course, they embarrassed themselves in the playoffs, and they had to barely sneak in at the end. But we're not talking about a team that was in last place. So if the offense was the problem last year. So if the offense is better, I don't know. I'm interested to see if what this team can do.
Roster-wise, the 26 guys they're going to bring north are going to be much better than the 26 guys they brought last year. They still have, and as much credit as I give them for Suarez's bat being the perfect fit for a lineup, they still have some weird pieces that don't fit together exactly right on the roster. There's no backup middle infielder, really. You've got a third baseman that probably is not going to hit at all.
Probably.
You've got your top prospect.
They'll teach him to hit fly balls.
Yeah. You've got your top rookie who plays that position. So you've got this weird, it's kind of like last year again, when you had Gavin Lux playing the outfield, you're going to have Spencer Steer playing the outfield or playing second base. There's some weird things the way they've got it structured. It's not ideal, but bat wise, they're whatever they're going to be, 14 guys or 13 guys are going to be much better than they've been.
South I think helps that as well. Yes.
I think that what Chris just said is a great point, is that they're still a flawed team. The offense still has a bunch of mismatched pieces, but the mismatched pieces are better than the mismatched pieces that Francona had last year. So, hopefully he can move the chess pieces around the board a little bit.
Yeah. And we can, you maybe assume with some better health out of Elly that he kind of, look at his numbers through early July. He was really good.
Guys, Elly's going to break out.
Yeah,
this is going to be Elly's year. I absolutely believe it. He learned a lesson from trying to play every game through some difficult personal circumstances and through some injuries. I don't know. I feel like this is going to be the year that Elly becomes at least closer to the Elly that we all hoped he'd be. I'm extremely bullish on his prospects.
I am too, and the B WAR I think was 6.5 2 years ago in 2024. I mean, we're looking at 7+, maybe even more. I mean, I think he's going to have a great year.
He can be in the MVP. What happens if he's in the MVP conversation?
I mean, if he played the way he did until the beginning of July last year, the whole year, he might have been in that conversation last year.
Yeah. Well, how does this team look if he's in the MVP conversation? It changes what we expect.
Oh, for sure, yeah. I got a question. Is the plan? So the plan is for Elly to play 140 games instead of 162 or 150.
I don't know about that. I think
150 maybe.
Yeah, 150, 155 probably.
Okay, so when he's not playing, Matt McLain plays shortstop. Is that like plan A?
That would be my plan A.
So last year, and actually I got to catch up with Joel. I haven't talked to him in a while. Joel Luckup came on multiple times last spring, and one of the things he said that I actually hadn't thought of, and Barry Larkin had told him, Matt McLain could play shortstop in one game as well or better than Elly.
Yeah.
But Matt McLain physically, with the way he's not as big a guy and all this stuff, he wouldn't be able to handle it for a full season. So that was Barry Larkin's take, and I guess who am I to disagree with Hall of Fame shortstop?
Let me
that standpoint, yeah.
Let me just mention something, because I said I just basically anointed Elly de la Cruz as the most valuable player in the National League, and so I need to say that this year for me with Elly, I'm going to be watching his defense very closely. McLain potentially is a better shortstop. I don't know. But for the last 2.5 years, I've been saying over and over and over, yes, Elly is making mistakes at shortstop. Yes, Elly is a terrible, terrible throw. His head doesn't seem to be in the game tonight at shortstop. But I've just constantly been saying, go look at what Barry Larkin did early in his career at the same ages. And Larkin became a Gold Glover. And Larkin actually won fewer Gold Gloves than he deserved because that idiot in St. Louis, not Chris's buddy Yadier, but the other guy, Ozzie. And so I think we need to see a step forward defensively this year. I can't keep defending him by saying, go look at what Barry did and he became a great player. We need to see him really lock down shortstop and be I don't expect him to be a Gold Glover, but he needs to be a lot better.
I stopped somebody dead in their tracks last summer with that argument, and they had no idea about Barry Larkin. All they know about Barry is Hall of Famer, multi-time All-Star, MVP, all that stuff, and they couldn't conceive that and it's literally the same age.
Barry led the league in errors when he was 24.
Yeah. And
I mean,
so this is Elly's 24-year-old season, right? This is age 24 this coming season. So.
But the argument has been, be patient. Yes. He's a kid. He'll get better. I need to see some progress on that point.
Yeah, and there's a question in viewer mail, and I actually took a note on this. Was it Fangraphs at the end of the season that had the study that basically said that even though he was a finalist for the Gold Glove at first base, Spencer Steer actually couldn't scoop the ball properly.
Yeah,
and
that was a joke.
They were blaming that on Elly's some of his problems. That's kind of funny.
It felt like that watching it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that was part of Elly's problem, but still, Elly has to get better.
Yeah, it's in the dirt. You own it, but gee whiz, he could have gotten a little more help.
Sure. Before we get to viewer mail, a lot of the viewer mail questions will hit a lot of our other topics. Let's talk about the TV situation. Chad, you live in Virginia. You're wearing your Cavaliers hat. I've got so I'm wearing the middle-aged dad / football coach attire tonight, the quarter zip. You've got one on too, I see, Chris.
I got my Super Bowl quarter zip on.
There you go. So Ohio State plays Virginia next week on the 14th. Happens to be Valentine's Day. My wife decided we're going to Universal next week, and so I couldn't join you in Nashville where the game's going to take place. I know we kind of set a date to do that, but we just can't make it happen. Valentine's Day and all that. So whatever. But regardless of that, you're in Virginia. You've always, I assume, had to have some form of MLB TV or something like that. This new deal is the regional sports network is gone for the Reds, along with several other teams. They will be run by MLB. The Cardinals came out, or somebody came out about the Cardinals today and said they'll lose anywhere from $20 to $40 million by making this switch. The deal was apparently the Reds turned down a loss of $10 million from FanDuel to just make a clean break of it. I want to get your thoughts on the whole thing, but I will tell you this. This looks better so far than what Cleveland fans had to go through. I live in Columbus area. My next door neighbor is a big Guardians guy, and he was in a near panic up until the day before opening day because you could buy that subscription, right, and have no blackouts, but he is still a cable customer, and he was waiting to see if they would put it on cable, and they never really confirmed it till the day before opening day. So he didn't pull a trigger on the subscription. I have DirecTV. They have said it'll be on DirecTV and cable. So I think I'm good to go. But your thoughts, Chris, let's start with you this time. Thoughts on this TV nonsense and kind of the whole deal?
Yeah, I'm kind of interested to see how it works out because I just re-upped with FanDuel Sports.
Ooh.
It was a really weird thing because I got it and I was watching Blue Jackets games on there too. And then it wasn't working. And Amazon was like, oh, just click this button. And when I clicked the button, it said, you're subscribed for another year.
Oh, no.
Now, to their credit, they gave me a bunch of money back. They basically gave me all the money back. So I don't even know if I'm paying for it or if I have it or what. But the deal is basically the Reds will get almost all of the money from the subscriptions to the Reds only package?
So I've seen different reports. So I can't. The first couple times this happened, I think the Padres, I forget who else, was it the Twins? There were teams that this happened to, and MLB basically subsidized a lot of it. And now after this past year, they basically said, yeah, we're not really going to subsidize anymore. What you earn is what you get. So if I'm to believe that, but then somebody else came in on like The Athletic or somewhere and said, yeah, but there's, with this most recent thing with the 9 teams, they may go ahead and, step a little bit back from that and agree to help out again. Of course, the Reds let it out there, Chad, that they weren't going to sign Suarez or even Austin Hayes until they figured out the TV thing. Well, the signing of Suarez came before the announcement of Reds.TV. So I don't know what to take from that.
Well, I think that's my big thing with it. I'm presuming at this point that I'm going to be able to watch every Reds game I want to watch, like I have always. And it's a little bit crazy that here we are in the year of our Lord 2026, and MLB has not figured this out yet. Yeah. And MLB for a long time was the leader among the big professional sports leagues in this area, the digital games.
Their platform, they sold the MLB Advanced Media platform. That's what runs Disney Plus and Hulu.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, they were way ahead of the curve, and it's kind of I kind of liken it a little bit to the NCAA, who just said, I'm going to just ignore the potential problems coming down the road for as long as I can, and then all of a sudden it's a crisis. So for me, I expect I'm going to be able to watch the game just like I always watch the games.
It looks that way.
Yeah, right. But what this means to me is it looks to me very much like, if nothing else, this gives this ownership group. I know we're good vibes only today, and I hesitate to even mention this, but we've already seen it. Yet another excuse for why we can't spend money. Well, and so that's to me, that's the biggest issue.
Well, there's an interesting thing today from J.J. Cooper in Baseball America that he put out on Twitter, referencing an article he wrote like 3 years ago. And he was looking down the road and seeing this, and it's a really, to me, it's an opportunity for the Reds, but there's risk to it too, because if they're basically now on a pay-as-you-go or get paid as you go, then TV revenue is going to look much more like ballpark revenue, ticket sales and season tickets. If you're good, we're going to watch and we're going to pay for it. And if you're not trying, then I ain't paying. So they don't have that guarantee every year of $50 million from Fox Sports Ohio, but they have a chance. The Reds ratings have been good. They've been much better than most. And last year they went up quite a bit over the year before. So if they think about it that way and think I have to invest, it might be better for fans. because
That's interesting.
he's going to have to invest. J.J. Cooper's idea is like the idea of tanking is fatal now because you don't get that. You don't get to like pull down costs but keep revenue mostly flat while you rebuild. When you suck on purpose, you're not going to make any money.
Mm-hmm.
So it should incentivize these owners to keep a competitive product. No more peaks and valleys, guys. A competitive product on the field all the time. And if they're real smart, they go sell it. They go out to Reds country, and then when they're selling, they got the caravan driving around. They got a little QR code to sign up for you to watch the games, and they sell those $250 packages or whatever they are every time, to every fan all around the hinterlands.
I think that's fascinating because the last couple of years they've kind of taken a step back, but for a long time the ballpark experience was great. They really went all in to try to sell that. If they could be convinced that, hey, look, you're not only going to get more people through the turnstiles, but you're also going to get more eyeballs on the game, on the television, and this will increase your revenue, Banana Bob. I hadn't thought about it in those terms. I hadn't seen the J.J. Cooper article, but that's interesting.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Now, I will say you made mention of the fact that they still haven't figured it out. They've been trying to get this aligned. Is it 27 or 29? I forget which year. They think they'll have all 30 teams under their own umbrella, and they'll be able to kind of do away with these idiotic, blackouts. I'll tell you, though, Chris, you mentioned the Blue Jackets. They fired a coach, and they're 10-1 since then, right? So the little upswing of people caring has kind of been noticeable here around town. Good friend of mine, never really cared that much, but he said, boy, we'll finish dinner, and he's got a son that's like a junior in high school, and he said, plopped down on the couch to try to watch him, and it was blacked out because he didn't have FanDuel. And he's like, this is just crazy. I live with all this other stuff, and I can't watch it. And because I think it was actually on. It was one of those deals where it was on a national network, but it was also on the regional. So
I was just going to say, they've been picked up a lot. They were on TNT last week one night. Like, I didn't even know they had hockey on TNT, but they were on.
They certainly do. So, okay, so I will tell you this. I like to be somewhat modern in the things I do. I do still have DirecTV. I like the DVR. I utilize it less for sports than I used to. When the kids were younger and you're like, well, I got to go put on the bed. I'm going to pause the TV. I feel more need to be in tap with live sports now than I used to, but it's going to be interesting. And certainly it sounds like we're all going to be able to watch the games, as you said, Chad. And it'll be great. Now, hey, one last thing before we go to viewer mail. I know there's a lot of questions. Wanted each of you, if you wouldn't mind, to give me some of your favorite things, like just a little tidbit maybe of some of the when you were researching the Big 50, both the first and then the next edition. Do you have anything in mind that like was really kind of tickled you or something like that you really enjoyed checking out?
Chris, you want to take this, or you want me to?
You want to? I can go first. I'm just something that comes to mind. One of the new chapters we did in the updated edition was about Fireball and Reds. So we had a chapter on Aroldis Chapman. He's no longer with the team, but Hunter Green is, and Hunter Green was. I did not realize how many pitches over 100 miles an hour Hunter Green was throwing, and it was crazy. But that also led me to look back at all the guys for the Reds who were known to really throw it hard. And the guy that we missed on, I think, in the book, and we knew about it, we tried, but Jim Maloney is the guy who's probably the best unheralded Red in the franchise history. That guy was amazing. Amazing. I mean, no-hitters, almost no-hitters going into extra innings, and just an absolute dominant pitcher in the early mid-'60s who, and I don't know why, like he spent the bulk of his career with the Reds. There's no reason. I guess he was just before the Big Red Machine. So
that's it.
And he wasn't Frank Robinson, so we just don't talk about him.
Chad, my grandpa just turned 90 in January. He went to his first game in 61. He just talks about Jim Maloney all the time. Did you have any thoughts on things you enjoyed kind of researching?
Sure. Yeah. I think I have to agree with Chris on the Jim Maloney. It's kind of shameful is not the right word, but it's kind of a little sad that modern Reds fans don't know Jim Maloney. And I think it was because he kind of missed out on the Big Red Machine, but that guy was dominant. For me, as we researched the Big 50,
There you
the
go.
men and moments that made the Cincinnati Reds. My favorite chapter, I think, the whole time was another pitcher that most modern Reds fans don't know about, and that's Ewell Blackwell, the Whip. And so as we researched that book, and I'm not sure people understand how much research actually went into it. We wanted to make it a little bit different than most of these types of books. We kept coming across anecdotes in like local newspapers or in the sporting news or quotes wherever we found them, where people had all these crazy nicknames for Ewell Blackwell. The one that sticks with me is a fly rod with ears. I mean, he was, and his nickname was the Whip, I guess his official nickname. But at that time, Ewell Blackwell was considered to be just as unhittable as any pitcher in baseball. And nobody really understands that these days. He made a bunch of all-star teams in a row. And I really enjoyed researching that. And that probably ended up being my favorite chapter in a lot of ways, just because I guess I had underrated Ewell Blackwell. I wanted to say that it was something about Epirixie because Epirixie went to the University of Virginia, but I guess it was Ewell Blackwell.
Properly rated Epirixie.
We canceled that UVA pitchers chapter that you wanted to write.
I tried. I really pitched that one hard.
Yeah, both those guys. I think if they played for the Yankees in those eras, those guys would be Hall of Famers, and those guys would be all over the place, and everybody would know their name.
You know what they both needed to do if they weren't going to be able to pitch for the Yankees? They both need to throw back-to-back no-hitters.
There you go.
Yeah.
Although, let me say this. I still think in the third edition, we can get a UVA pitchers chapter in. If Andrew Abbott keeps pitching like he's been pitching, maybe I can finally get Chris to agree to it.
Yeah, I'm with you.
You got two now.
All right. Hey, viewer mail, unprecedented, amount of questions. Chad, some of them even broke some of your rules. So I want you to chastise them for me because I've lost all control.
Short and pithy. Come on. What are we doing here?
The kids know they can just push over me. It's fine. Hey, Ben Brown, co-host of Late Night Reds. Catch it on Sunday night at 9 p.m. live on YouTube or where you get podcasts. He says 2 questions. So right off the bat, Chad. He said, thoughts on Blade versus Steer in left field. Have seen both in projected lineups. Well, that's a righty-lefty thing. Before I get your thoughts, I looked up a few things. J.J. Blade is a lefty, so there'll probably be a platoon. His only positive B-WAR came in 2024, which was 2.1. As much as I'm not convinced Steer is a great player, his B-WAR seasons are, in his full seasons, 2.9, 1.5, and 0.7. And by the way, Will Benson, 0.6 last year, negative 1.4 in 24. Your thoughts on it? Really comes down to that left field question, I guess, because if Steer's not at first, he'll likely be in left field.
Well, first of all, Ben Brown, an absolute legend of the podcast genre. He and Scott do a great job. I guess for me, it's just Tito Francona has to mix and match. I mean, Steer will get some playing time at first base. Steer will get his 400 at bats. But I think if you do it right and you mix and match and you platoon, that could, again, we're getting close to spring, and I always squint to try to see the possibilities. Yeah. That could be a good platoon in left field. It could be, or at least adequate. If that's an average hitter, if they're put them together and we have average production out of left field, that's fantastic. So I guess that's the way I look at it.
Chris, I'll ask you the second question. He says, if Sal Stewart is at first base, Steer was near a Gold Glove caliber first baseman. We talked about that a little bit earlier. Does moving Steer to left help or hurt the Reds defensively?
It hurts the Reds defensively, but more because Steer's not that good of an outfielder. Not because I think Sal Stewart would be just as good as Steer at first base.
He's best shape of his life, Chad. So,
but it helps the offense if Stewart's in there. So do you take a little bit of a hit defensively? Maybe, but
there'll be time. I mean, Marte's going to get a day. You may see a day when Blade's in left and Benson's in right. I mean, there's plenty of time. It's a long season.
That's the thing people don't understand is that fans want 8 players for the 8 everyday positions. There are a lot of at-bats in 162 games to be distributed.
Do we think both Bleday and Benson travel northeast with the team? Are they both on the opening day lineup?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so. I want Will Benson to be a thing.
I do too.
I'm shameless about it. He's not going to be a thing, but I want him to be a thing. He's likable.
I love Will Benson. He's actually my son's favorite player. I think if you'd ask him, that's all he talks about is Will Benson. But I don't think they bring them both up. I think one of them. They both have options, so that does give them the luxury of leaving one in AAA to start the year. And I do think they'll leave one behind.
Well, we have to remember he became a Red because Terry Francona was done with him. And then Terry Francona kept him in AAA for most of the spring, early summer. And then he had him. Wasn't he on the roster almost like the whole month of August and played in one game or something? Yeah. It was some 3 to 4 week stretch where he didn't even get into a game. Like he was on the roster getting big league meal money and all that, but he wasn't in the game. So yeah, it's interesting that I don't think it's a personal thing, but it's certainly you've seen it in 2 different organizations with Terry Francona and Will Benson. All right, Scott Boldman says, "I'm a believer that now this is an interesting." He says, "I'm a believer that for a team to go deep into the playoffs, they need at least 3 players to have quote unquote career years. He says, Ty Steve in a contract year and Hunter Green poised for big years. I'm hopeful that Noelvi Marte is that third guy. What do you think?" I'll tell you guys this, and I'll let you answer the question. Hunter Green, multiple times, but especially last year, was on pace to be the career year guy last year before his injury knocked him down not once but twice, and he just wasn't quite the same. I got invited on an Angels podcast recently, and even though the guy, actually the host, he lives in Ohio, he's an Army brat or a Navy brat that ended up being an Angels fan because he grew up out there partially. He was unaware completely of, even when, as we're doing the show, he looked it up, of Hunter Green's status. You mentioned the 100 miles an hour stuff. If he could pitch, and you said something earlier last week, Chad, if he could pitch a full season, I think people start to recognize it, don't you?
Well, sure. I mean, this is the time of year when I always do this. If Hunter Green can pitch a full season, right? Yeah. The hope is we're in the hope part of the calendar. If Hunter Green can be that guy, if Noelvi Marte can be that guy, if Sal Stewart can be that guy, if Elly takes that next step, all of a sudden the ceiling for this team looks a lot different. The Reds pitching staff, they have more depth than they've had. We talked a little bit earlier about potentially trading a pitcher for an outfielder, and I love having the depth. We got Rhett Lauder's back. I love Chase Burns. Can he take a big step? But if Hunter Green could stay healthy, I don't know. There are 10 different things I could say. If this happens, it changes the prospects for this team. Hunter Green's a big one because Hunter Green, when he's healthy, is among the very. He's a Cy Young winner. He could be a Cy.
He's Skeens adjacent if he's healthy.
He is. He just never stayed healthy. But when he's healthy, he's better than anyone understands that he is. So that's a big if. I'm not going to bet the ranch on it, but
I mean, just 5 more starts.
Yeah.
19 to 24, 25 starts. I don't expect him to make every start of the season, but if he makes 25, that's 5 starts where you aren't grasping or, starting your long man or whatever. And I think that makes a difference. That's a win or 2 more anyway. Chad
said that Elly's going to break out even more this year. So, that could be your career year guy. Chris, do you have a third guy? But I mean, we have to agree that Ty Steve's going to have a career year.
I
wish.
Yeah. Another if. Do you have a guy in mind though, that you think could have a quote unquote career year?
Well, let me say it this way. I'll say Matt McClain better have a year or he's not going to have a career.
Yes.
But I think Matt McClain being a 4-win player is certainly realistic. And that's a big jump from what we've gotten.
This is what I miss. Suarez has turned a key, and we're just maybe it's because spring training starts next week.
Hopium, man. We're just injecting the hopium into our veins.
Yeah. We are. All right, the next one is from your pal, James Urban.
God, is he still alive?
Yes, he is. He says, how many home runs and how many strikeouts for Suarez this year? Thoughts?
I guess I'll take this one. I think he's going to have the same number for both. 179 home runs and 179 strikeouts. That's my prediction.
That's quite a
Krzyzewski career. I'm going to say 36 bombs and 175 strikeouts.
All right.
That may be more realistic.
I wrote down 39 home runs, 188 strikeouts. And I would take every one of them. Just take it. It's fine. There was some backlash, and even amongst, not even just amongst like the dregs of Twitter, like there was some backlash even amongst some people I forgot were Reds fans in my Facebook timeline about how many times he's going to strike out and how that was a dumb deal. And I'm like, you don't know. You just don't know. Just wild. No, it's gonna be good things. Kyle Kapler checks in. He says, "Hey fellas, I feel like Gino should be playing third base at least once or twice a week. Keep Hayes out of the lineup more than he should be in it. Also, I can't deny that the roster is better now that it was in a year ago. Haven't been this excited in a while. I guess Hayes has shown that he's injury prone. I guess he's missed time over the years. The bad back jumped up even when he came to Cincinnati a little bit. Do you think Gino will end up playing more third base than what we are saying he will right now?
Maybe, and that's maybe not a bad thing. But as much as I can't believe they're spending so much money on Brian Hayes. It's just crazy. But that guy can absolutely pick it at third base. He's as good at defensive third base. I think Scott Rowland is the only other person in his neighborhood in my lifetime as a Reds fan. Maybe Wayne Krenchicki as a third baseman. Maybe he's the only other one than
Tony
Scott
Fernandez.
Rowland.
Tony
Fernandez, yeah.
Oh, that's a good one.
The reluctant third baseman, right? He didn't want to play third base at all.
So,
Chris, what do you think? Do you think he ends up out there a little more than we think?
I think he might play 50 games there.
Okay.
I would not be surprised if he plays more games at third base than he does first.
When
it's all said and done.
A lot of candidates
more likely. I think Brian Hayes is going to play 120 games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, I think he gets dinged up, and now they don't have to play him if he's not feeling good.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we'll see.
Yeah,
but
Espinal's not around anymore to threaten. They would threaten Brian Hayes and say, "If you don't get out there, we're going to play Espinal." That's what they used to say.
Rest in peace, Santiago Espinal.
Skylar Webker, he is the other part of the Late Night Reds duo. He says, "Are we back? Do we have good vibes?" I think we do.
Only.
I think we do.
Nothing. Yes, nothing but good vibes.
I'm going to skip Andrew Williams now. Andrew Williams this is primo. We're going to hold that one for the end. Dwight Kelly says, "Can you name the 3 players on the current roster who were ever on the 2021 roster with Suarez?" Well, Stevenson.
Tyler Stevenson. Man, that's it.
Did Hunter Green come up in 21 a little bit, or was that too early?
I read this the other day, and now I can't remember it, and I can cheat, but I'm not going to.
Yeah, it was Hunter. It had to be Hunter, right?
Yeah.
That's his rookie year.
Yeah, Hunter, and then
Logan Andrusek.
TJ Antone's in camp.
He's in camp. He's a prospect, Chris. Remember.
TJ Antone played with Scott Rowland.
Yeah.
It's not.
TJ Antone played with Jim Maloney.
It's not Friedel, is it?
I was wondering.
I
I don't know if he came
don't
up
know.
It is TJ Friedel.
All right.
Is it?
We are champions.
Hey, listen, Friedel. Can I say TJ Friedel? Is this going to be the year he falls off a cliff? Because I've been expecting it every single year of his career. And when he's been healthy, he's been adequate at the very least, and sometimes above adequate.
He wins the award for being the most like a relief pitcher in our minds. You just expect people. You're not the only one. People expect him just to not be good anymore.
Yeah, I don't know.
And there was times last year, Chris, we did shows last year where we were like, oh my goodness, he's really good. Like, just such a good year at that point last year.
Yeah. Here's some other guys that were on the 2021 Reds.
Oh no. You don't have to. You really don't have to do this, Chris.
Hey, three guys hit 30 home runs in that team, right? So
Max Schrock.
Yeah.
Someone named Mike Freeman.
No, that's not true. You're lying.
65 plate appearances for Mike Freeman.
No, not true.
Shields Jr.
No.
Vladimir Gutierrez. That's a pitcher.
I do remember that one.
Scott Heineman.
No.
Mark Payton. Alejo Lopez.
Loved Alejo.
Oh, Tony Santiam is on that team too.
Oh, there we go.
Another one then.
Right, Kelly.
And UVA Sean Doolittle.
Hey, here we go. Wahoo wah.
Number three in the book.
Number 3 in the book.
All right. 2 more. Brandon Bowling says the Reds only had 167 home runs as a team last year. Surely they're poised. Don't call me Shirley. They're poised to top that with the addition of Gino. If we assume that Gino hits the most this year, who do you think will be the next 3 most productive sluggers next year? Elly,
Sal Stewart,
Martel.
Noelvi.
Yeah.
So Noelvi, does he profile to hit what, more than 20 though? Like,
yeah, but that'll be the 3rd best on the team.
No. Okay.
I mean, who else is going to hit more than 20? I mean, Spencer Steer, maybe, but
he has.
Yeah, but are we going to bet the ranch on that one?
No, we're not. Sal Stewart broke out a little bit in AAA, well, AA and AAA last year, but he had never hit for the power he did last year before. I don't know.
What about Christian Encarnacio Strand? Remember that guy? Maybe he'll be the power threat.
Yeah.
So Keith Law, he never likes the Reds farm system as a whole. He's always pretty much the lowest of all the services that rate farm systems. But he came out with his top 20 prospect list for the Reds, and he likes Sal to be a more of a power hitter after what he showed last year. The other one, you mentioned Rhett Lauder earlier. I wanted to get to that a minute ago.
Rhett Lauder is not going to hit 20 home runs. Seth. No, but I'm sorry.
But I'm talking about Keith Law and what he said about him. What he saw from him in the Arizona Fall League last year, he said he's a middle of the rotation guy minimum if he's healthy. Right, and then he said right now. So not like
it doesn't surprise me. The guy was taken number 2 overall, right, or 3.
He was up there. It's
and debuted the year after he was drafted. I mean, Lauder has talent. I mean, I hate that he went to Wake Forest, but yeah, I know, but yeah, that's why I think this pitching staff, and why I'm glad they didn't trade any of the pitchers
yet.
But Lauder, I want to see what Lauder and Chase Burns do this year. Mm-hmm. I want to see what happens. Give them the ball, let them throw.
Well, and that gives them they're 5th and 6th in the pecking order right now, but not in stuff, certainly. Brandon finishes up by saying, does an average offense and this pitching staff make the Reds a dangerous team this October? Some would say this is a dangerous podcast. And then he said, cue the Jim Mora meme, playoffs. So what do you think? I mean, it's certainly the pitching staff and an average offense. This is like the Bengals. If they have an average defense, they're a good playoff team. But if they don't, they're not.
I would have loved to have had an average offense last year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I don't know that they beat the Dodgers in round 1, but it's a different team. They may not be playing the Dodgers in round 1.
Exactly. That's the point.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they can. I won't say they're as good as anybody besides the Dodgers in the league, but I think they could beat anybody, maybe beside the Dodgers in the league.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can I just say that's a big deal. I've been a Reds fan for a long time, and there have been very few years in the last 30 years where you could actually say what Garber just said there. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm trying to be optimistic.
Yeah, they could win 76 games too, but
come on, man.
Yes, come on, man.
Good vibes only.
All right, let's close with this question. Andrew Williams. I want you guys to mentally take some notes, because while this doesn't fit the concise model that Chad prescribed all those years, it's going to be a good one. All right. He says, fellas, my father-in-law gifted my 10-month-old a bunch of dumb, ugly Cardinals onesies for Christmas, which made me much angrier than their family even knows, or probably even than I should be. What is my best option going forward? All right. He lists a myriad of options here, so keep track mentally. A, one up him and set a precedent he won't be able to meet. Well, I don't know what that means, but I don't think your father-in-law is going to wear the Reds shirt you want to buy him. All right.
Yeah.
B, just raise him in a house where Reds baseball is always on. This was going to happen anyway. C, develop a dead man switch that will steer him towards the Cubs if my father-in-law presses his luck. Chris,
Chris can talk to that one.
D, ritual combat. Well, this is some Festivus type stuff here. Or E, I'm open to ideas. The floor is yours, Chris. What do you think?
I was just going to be much more pedantic about this and more basic. I thought his problem was how to get rid of these shirts.
No, it's
yeah. He's more philosophical. He has a longer term plan. I'm like, just let your kid have a blowout in the thing and throw it away and say, sorry, man, he's got poo on it. You can't wear the Cardinal stuff. But no, he's got a long term battle here. So there's only one hope, and that is for the Reds to win when he's 8 years old, because that will lock you in. It's how I lost my son forever to the Cubs.
Oh, my goodness.
And that is a scientifically proven method to guarantee lifelong fandom.
Chad, your thoughts?
I think what he needs to do is purchase whatever television package is required and force the kid to watch every Los Angeles Dodgers game. And don't let your son certainly you can't let your son become a Cardinals fan.
No.
Because I had one of my previous jobs, I terminated parental rights over that. I mean, it's child abuse.
Yeah.
And you can make an argument that letting your child grow up as a Reds fan is not that much different. And I did that, and my son reminds me occasionally, why did you force this upon me? I didn't force it, but that's what it was around. So just let him watch Dodgers games or Yankees games, or I don't know, and let him make his own decision. But the best case scenario is I'm with Chris. The Reds have a special season this year, and he decides, oh, wait a minute, this team's fun. And they got Gino and Elly. What about Elly? So
the lad is 10 months old. So
then, yeah. But re-sign Elly.
But tell me this, guys. Foreseeable future with what the Cardinals are doing currently. They're rebuilding for the first time since, really the century. Is it possible that the Reds are better than the Cardinals for the next 5 to 6 years? Like, consistently better? Is this possible?
Yeah, for sure. I think they are going to be better than the Cardinals. I think the Cardinals' black magic spell has been broken.
It went away with Yadier Molina, didn't it, Chad?
It did. But I'll say this. I agree with what Chris just said, but not a chance in the world I'm betting the ranch on the Reds being better than the Cardinals next 5 years. I've been through too much.
Yeah, right. I would bet your ranch, but not mine. All right. Well, hey, the vibes are pretty good. Spring training, pitchers and catchers will be, filing in next week. This is going to be as fun of a spring training as we've had in quite a while. Remember, the stories have been out all this week. 2022, the first day of spring training because of the lockout, that's the day they traded Winker and Suarez. So there was a dark cloud hanging over us that day, and pretty much even up until, I guess, 2024 spring training with the kids coming back for their first full seasons. That was exciting. It just didn't pan out as well. But certainly we have a lot of reason to be excited. Hopefully you guys can join me more often, and we can do this again. Thanks so much for joining me.
Thanks.
Yeah, Seth, good time. I think my calendar is cleared up a little bit. I hope to be able to join you more going forward, because it's a good time. It's a fun time to be a Reds fan in some ways. I'm excited.
It really is. Thanks so much, guys. Really appreciate it. Thanks for tuning in, everybody out there. Hit the like and subscribe buttons hard. Tell your friends about us. We're just so excited. Chris, we want to get that 175,000 mark at some point. That's
it.
That's the goal.
It's a magic number.
All right. So long, everyone. Have a great weekend. Join Late Night Reds, 9 p.m. Sunday night.